Happy weekend, everyone. It's Invisible Walls, episode 132, right here on GameTrailers.com. I'm Shane Satterfield, your humble host, and finally, after all the hype, all the discussion, we are here to blow the lid off of Microsoft Kinect. We've had it for about a week now. We've really had a chance to put it through its paces. Is it good? Is it great? Is it crap? We're about to tell you. We also have a bunch of really hot topics today. One game that really came out of nowhere to surprise us, and here to talk to you about that today is Rich Brown.
Rated M for mature.
A rare occurrence on IW for Rich Brown. He is in the house today along with Marcus Beer.
Rated W for Welsh.
How are you going to continue the motif,
I have no follow-up to that.
Daniel Bloodworth is on the show.
Yo, what's up?
And you already know I'm here. Let's get to it.
Drop your gun, Mr. Bond. It looks like your little adventure has come to an end.
What are you going to do with the Goldeneye satellite?
I'm afraid that's no concern of yours. You should have taken me up on the counterfeit vodka.
All right, first we're going to talk about a remake of a game that is very near and dear to pretty much all of our hearts sitting here on Invisible Walls, and that is the remake / reimagining, maybe is the better way to describe it, of Goldeneye 007. Bloodworth, you've been playing this game, and you came to me and you were like, dude, it's awesome, which I think shocked everybody. And then today other people had went and bought it yesterday and went and played it all night, and they're all in agreement with you. What makes it so good?
I think they just really have nailed the campaign. Even though, as we said, it's a reimagining. And I think that's the thing that throws everyone off. Like, first of all, there's Daniel Craig instead of Pierce Brosnan. Yeah. And the whole game is that way. Like the only
no cameo even.
The only actor that stayed the same is M. It's like Judi Dench is in there. Mm-hmm. Everybody else is different. The game is entirely modern. Like, you have a smartphone from the beginning. There's no 9-year gap between events.
No gadgets, right? Or not as many gadgets as you'd hope?
I think that's the thing with the new Bond. He doesn't do gadgets. He uses his phone.
Right, for everything.
Like, even the laser watch is not in there. You just, shoot the panels off the bottom of the train thing. So
I liked the laser watch.
Yeah,
everyone likes the laser watch.
The laser watch was fucking awesome. So who's playing Trevelyan now? Who's playing the...
Some no name. I'm not sure who he is.
So why is it good again?
The thing is that they do it really well. Like, it's still it is well acted. They've got a lot of these scenes where you're genuinely Bond. Like, you walk into this nightclub and the waitress comes up to you and tries to sell you this bottle of expensive imported Russian vodka or something, and he's like, oh, that's clearly a forgery, and the label's a different color, and
so he's still kind of suave and debonair.
Yeah, you
mean alcoholic,
right? AKA.
So you have those moments, and then I think as far as the way the gameplay goes, they couldn't really use the maps, but they kept the levels essentially the same. You've got at the very beginning you have the dam, and then you have the facility, and then you have the airfield. Even though they couldn't keep the exact same structure, you still have that moment where you're crawling through the air ducts and then you shoot the guy sitting on the toilet, and little things like that. But then you walk out the bathroom door and you're like, where the heck am I?
Right. And what is the rationale for that? I mean,
I did an interview with them. Then they can take anything that was in the movie, but they couldn't actually copy, the designs of the original.
But they've entirely rewritten the movie, though.
So level designs are something you can copyright.
I think it would just open them up for a lot of litigation, probably, that they probably just didn't want to do. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you can just,
who owns,
it's intellectual property on some level.
Well, Activision have the rights to the Bond franchise, which means almost all the movies.
Do they have a license? They have rights to the back catalog of the games?
But the game was a Nintendo first-party release,
right?
So Nintendo should, it wasn't released to anybody else. Rareware were hired to do GoldenEye and Donkey Kong Country. They were working directly with Nintendo then, so I can't see why. Because some of those levels were actually really good, and
they're amazing.
I'm not really very happy with them rewriting and reimagining a classic game from 15 years ago.
But is it better to do that, or is it better to do something new? Because we've all played GoldenEye out the ass. I can't even tell you how many hundreds of hours I spent playing that game. Do I really want to play that game again? To me, it's more enticing to hear that they have kind of included the cool stuff like shooting the guy in the toilet, kind of the iconic things that you remember from that first game, while still giving you a new experience that's kind of brought into the modern age.
I'm all for new experiences. I think that adding to it is absolutely fantastic. But if I'd have been Nintendo, I would have said to Microsoft, you know what, we're going to put the old school version in there as well, and it's an unlockable, and you can play with the N64 graphics. I think they just missed a beat there.
Well,
So
I
people can
think
go
that
back.
though. I mean, I think there's a lot of talk behind the scenes and somehow getting GoldenEye out there either on Wii, Virtual Console or Xbox Live, and I think the parties just couldn't come together, like Nintendo and Microsoft and Activision and the movie studios, and
What about the multiplayer maps? Is the temple in there?
No, none of the multiplayer maps. I mean, even though some of them have the same names, like there's a facility, it's nothing like the facility.
See, to me, that's the bigger deal breaker.
Yeah.
Is
Not
it a
having
smartphone store? Does it have a Genius Bar?
But yeah, the multiplayer, that to me seems less like GoldenEye. Like that is more of just like, okay, we've taken Call of Duty. There's not really that much bond to it. Like you still, you have the similar like level progression and everything. You have to unlock all your weapons. The proximity mines are like locked out at like level 53.
sucks.
Yeah. And then I don't think I've ever used the word frame rate so many times in a review. Like, that's the thing that really knocked down the multiplayer for me is, it's like I go to turn and like the frame rate is so shaky that like I can't see anything.
And the visuals
right
are
now.
very bland in the multiplayer. Like the textures are very flat. There's really not a whole lot of visual trickery going on there.
I don't know for sure about that. I mean, there's some levels where they have a lot of like smoke and rain and stuff going on, but I've had a much better impression if they had locked down that frame rate, and even if the maps were smaller or whatever. Because it's only 8 players in a map anyway.
Right.
So.
Did they at least keep, the bad guys in there? Oddjob was in there in the original. Jaws was in there. Scaramanga was in there.
Yeah, you can select those in the split screen. There's not really any way to like select a character, I don't think, in online. I'd have to look into it a little bit more, but.
My big question is, and one of my favorite parts of the original GoldenEye were the sort of the time trials. And I don't know if I've played another game like this since, where I got so into the single-player levels where you learn every sort of nook and cranny, every little nuance. Some of those were just devilish, literally, where if you wasted one footstep, you wouldn't make it in time. Do they have those time challenges for the single-player campaign?
Yeah, every time you unlock, or every time you beat a level, you'll unlock a time trial for that level. And it even, like, it counts down during, like, the opening cutscenes and everything. It's like, no, let me skip this. But, you kind of have to endure that. I haven't actually gotten through one yet.
So they are tough, like they used to be.
Yeah, I was trying one of the shorter ones, and I like it a lot. I like just trying to, like figure out exactly what I need to do. Who can I run past and still survive?
Right. It's fun.
Yeah, and they have the same kind of structure as the old GoldenEye, where it's like when you put up the difficulty level, you get more objectives.
Right.
And you can actually beat levels without completing the objectives, and then it's like, okay, either retry the level or continue on at a lower difficulty setting. So I like that, and there's also the classic difficulty that takes away the regenerating health, so that even if you pass a checkpoint, like when you reload, if you get killed, you have just as much health as when you hit that checkpoint.
So is this the best shooter available for the Wii?
I don't know about that. Like I saw some talks about like it being better than Modern Warfare Reflex and being better than Metroid Prime 3, which I think is kind of crazy talk.
Yeah.
I think part of it is like, to me, the multiplayer doesn't do anything to like be genre defining or whatever. You'll have fun with it for a couple of nights, and then I think you'll probably just want to move on to whatever. Like, I don't think it's as good as Modern Warfare last year.
Should people buy it?
Yeah, definitely.
One of the best Wii games of the year, at least, would you say, so far?
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Quit whining. Did I say it was going to be fun? You're going to have to learn to love the pain. There's a lot more of it to come.
Okay, so we've all heard various zealots in the political forum railing against video games, saying they're violent, trying to get all kinds of restrictions placed on them. Usually that stuff kind of falls on deaf ears. But now in California, the Supreme Court is actually hearing some arguments that would make selling games to minors illegal. How do you guys feel about that?
All right, so I'm going to come out and I'm going to be pretty controversial off the bat because I can see obviously lots of negatives with this, but I can also see some positives. And Rich and I were talking earlier, and Rich, I don't know if you give your perspective as a parent first.
Okay, just point blank, it's not the government's job to raise my kids. It's
You're
mine.
absolutely right.
It's the job of me and my wife.
Yep.
And
plain and simple.
I agree with Rich 100%. My problem is that I would say 70% of Americans don't know how to raise their fucking kids.
That might be generous.
Might be generous, but yeah, there's a lot of people out there who aren't honestly good parents who do treat an Xbox, a PlayStation, or a Wii as a babysitter.
Right.
And I think those people are. We need some restrictions to stop these idiots going out and giving these games. I mean, they keep on throwing up Postal 2 or Mad World. I mean, there are, you always hear these stories every year of someone's grandma going out buying GTA 4 for 5-year-old little Jimmy because that's the only game she knows. And, there's no way that GameStop or Best Buy or any of those guys can do anything about grandma buying this and giving it to her grandson. And that is the problem for me. I mean, that's just the big issue, that people are stupid. A person is smart, people are stupid. Parents more so, because they want their kids to be happy. They want their kids to have everything else that everybody else has got.
No, they want to raise their kids with the lowest amount of effort.
Well, they also want their kids to shut up. I mean, I'm personally all for locking them all in basements until they hit 21. But I can see,
let them drink.
And I'm coming from the British perspective here, where if you're 18, you don't get if you're under 18, you don't go and see an 18-rated movie. It doesn't matter if you're Prince William or whoever. Same with games. You don't get the games if you're not old enough. And
but
they're
in England you can be under 18 and get a drink pretty easily, though. It's on the flip side.
Well, yeah. What's wrong with drinking? I mean, seriously, I just think that there's
you honestly think violent movies are worse than
well, look, there's a cult. Well, seriously, having been to some of the universities in this country and seen the binge drinking from the kids who aren't used to drinking by the age of 18, 19, it's 10 times worse than anything I've ever seen in the UK, to be totally frank with you.
I don't know. My whole thing with media consumption is it's like anything else. Or, I'm sorry, video game consumption. It's the same thing they had with comics in the 50s with the Comics Code. It is the same thing as movies. Yes, it's going to spur on some people. Yes, the Columbine kids played Doom. But, if they hadn't played Doom, I don't really think it would have affected.
They probably also watched movies and television and listened to music.
And guess what? I did that too.
And went to McDonald's.
I may be wearing a trench coat right now, but...
Look, am I for censoring video games? Not one iota. I think video games should be treated like an art form, but I think there should be an even playing field, that if video games are going to come under the hammer, well, other things need to come under the hammer too. My first month in the US, I went into a movie theater to watch an R-rated movie, and I kid you not, a couple with a 5-year-old came in to watch one of the goriest movies I'd ever seen, and the 5-year-old sitting there screaming, and the parents are munching popcorn and totally ignoring the kid. That's a big issue I have with this country. I mean, if people were smarter, you wouldn't need the regulation, but sometimes you do need regulation. But do I want video games censored? Hell no. If I'm a grown-up, I want to be able to play almost anything on there.
I agree with you 100%. It's it sucks that parents in America aren't responsible enough to be good parents, and that they use video games as a crutch to raise their kids, to babysit their kids. At the same time, you can't just allow that to let our society crumble. At some point, somebody has to step in and be like the bigger person, the more responsible person. And to me, the drawbacks of making it illegal to sell games, what are the drawbacks of making it illegal to sell games to kids? I mean, the sales will probably drop a little bit, but there really is no negative on this at all. It's only a positive. It sucks that the responsibility is falling on us. We're turning into like the shepherds of the youth generation in America. That's lame and ridiculous, but someone's going to have to do it. And, if this is sort of the concession we have to make to keep video games from being censored, then to me it's the right choice, and it's not really a sacrifice.
But are we already doing concessions? I mean, the ESRB is we volunteer, and actually, do you want to talk about you're now part of the the ESRB?
I am part of.
Well, game trailers.
We are part of
as our
the
right. We are part of the
leader.
ESRB council now. In fact, I did an interview with CNN this week. So
Join the dark side.
No, it's like you said, me.
Just putting some distance.
We are a part of the ESRB council, and there's certain things we had to do. We had to make sure that we had the descriptors for each game on the game page. So, like blood, violence, excessive, whatever. All that stuff is listed on the page now. We have to make sure that our age gates work properly. It was pretty simple, actually, to become a part of the council. There were certain checklists we had to check off, so to speak, to become a part of it. But, and I talked to CNN, and, CNN, the angle that they were trying to take is it's the industry's fault. They're not being responsible in creating the content, and should they be making games like this? And that's why, to me, the most important thing is making sure that the art form is not censored. And so whatever we have to do to an extent, I think we should do to make sure that we sort of preserve our art form, so to speak, and our hobby.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, everything's constitutionally protected by the First Amendment.
Well,
freedom of expression. Do we want to see, games about, hate crimes or, bestiality or whatever? No, we don't. But do we want to see, great games like, GTA or Fallout that are games for adults? Yes, adults should be playing them. And to be fair to the GameStops and Best Buys of this world, those guys do card. I mean, Ryan and I, again, were talking this morning. Those guys do card, and they do, they do their best, but they're getting circumvented by the parents, by the grandparents, by the uncles, by the big brothers who think, oh, it's so cool. Well, if...
But they'll never catch those people, though. I mean, what are they going to do? Follow somebody home, watch them go to their house, and see who they hand it to?
But that's just it. It's not illegal. If I want to go buy another copy of God of War 3 for my kids to play, nobody can stop me because I'm over the age.
Right.
But it's up to me to determine whether my kids are mature enough or not mature enough to be able to handle violence.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing to me, like, I don't think that they should be stepping in and telling parents what they can do, especially for like a 16 or 17-year-old. Like, Because especially like with the bar with M-rated games, this seems just kind of bizarre to me. Like, to me, I don't see any issue with kids playing Halo multiplayer. Like that.
The Halo is pretty tame in the realm of M-rated games.
It's rated mature though, and and it's like, why is this game saying 17 and up only? Like, I don't have that big of an issue with that. It's not the same as like Fallout 3 where you like blow somebody's head off and their eye goes flying across the room.
Right.
Pretty much every major interest group, like even people that you would not think are behind the video game industry, because
Rush Limbaugh, bizarrely enough, we know he's against government interference in a lot of things, and he came out last week and is supporting. Like I said, I am not for censorship of video games. I think video games do get a rough ride. And
but you are for a nanny state, like the one you came from.
Honestly,
given want some CCTVs,
given
in here?
some of the people and given some of the voting that happened on Tuesday this week, where the tea, if it means that it protects us from the likes of the Tea Party. Absolutely, I'm totally for some element of a nanny state, because honestly, some people are so stupid they need looking after.
Yeah, just monitor what your kids do. I mean, that's what I do for those of us that have
Rich.
children. It's like I have kids. Monitor what your kids do. As far as video games, I know what my kids are playing. I know what I bring home for them to play. And when they ask me, oh, can I get that? Can we get this? Can we get this? Oh, this is cool. I saw the commercial. I say yes and no. My wife says yes and no, because we monitor what they play.
And it's easy. There are parental locks on all of these machines. There is no excuse for you to not be able to keep your kids from playing M-rated games.
That's right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Bottom line.
That's right.
What you have seen, follow it. You must.
To the ends of the galaxy if I have to.
Okay, so all kinds of crazy stuff has been happening in the development community over the last week or so. Lots of layoffs, lots of closures altogether.
Some weird acquisitions and jumping of ships.
I mean, are we finally starting to see the economy really come to bear on gaming at this point?
I think the thing you got to look at is gaming is only really profitable for 4 or 5 companies.
Right.
It's and this is something, having been more involved on the money side and seeing the business decisions and seeing a lot of budgets over the last 12 months, there are a lot of companies out there. I mean, there's actually investors who say we will not invest in video game companies because the only companies that generate the revenue are Activision, Ubisoft, EA, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. Anybody else, you have to break. You have to sell so many units to break even that people are getting out of the box market.
I mean, I don't know that Sony's recouped all the investment it's put in the PS3 at this point.
But
they will start talking about the R&D for Move, and I mean, even they are struggling, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I think they'll continue to reap it. I think this is why we're seeing more and more people switching to digital, because just the cost of goods.
Well, that's what I mean. One of the things that spurred this conversation was Namco Bandai just laid off 90 people in the States, and they said that there's going to be a refocusing on digital distribution games.
Well, it's funny, they actually
mobile
combined
games.
their mobile and online divisions into one Uber division, and that's where a lot of the layoffs came from. Bizarrely enough, not from their box division. They have transferred some of the stuff back to Japan. But box games are really expensive. They're really expensive to make. I mean, you've got the investment in how much you need to pay a team and the burn rate per month, and then you've got marketing, then you've got PR, then you've got production,
and just
then you've
fueling
got
the
distribution.
trucks that ship the games. I mean, there's so many little costs. But
I mean, just even
Sega did a similar thing a couple months ago too. Or I'm bad at keeping track of time.
No,
but
I think
Sega
it was
had
last
massive.
year, late last year.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah, they laid off a bunch of people.
Right, when digital became handled in the U.S. and now all their packaged goods handled in Europe, which is completely bizarre to me, but...
Yeah, I think we're moving to literally a state where you won't see, it'll be an exceptional product that basically comes out on box over the in 2 or 3 years time. Everything else
come on 4 Blu-ray discs.
Well,
I think that might be a little early.
200 gigs.
I think what you'll probably see is more companies going to first party, going to Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, and saying, "All right, we're a small publisher. We can't afford to publish this game ourselves. Let's shop it to you. Can we do a co-pub deal?" Or the alternative is we'll have to release it digitally and sell it in segments.
Right, then you're basically chopping off half your user base. You don't have as many people to sell your game to at that point.
Yeah, and it basically retail gets by on one season a year, which is this holiday season, and Amazon is biting into that. I mean, all the games that have come out so far this year, I've bought off Amazon.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's cheaper. I mean,
it's
I get
cheaper,
my
and you get
price.
it the next day. You don't have to go stand in line for anything. It's
you actually get it the same day as launch.
Right.
But I think the other issue I have, though, is that a lot of these companies are rushing into things, and there's a lot of people making decisions in companies who have no fucking right to make decisions about video games. That you do need a money man because it's a business, but when the money man is calling the shots left, right, and center, and is not educating and bringing the creative side into it and really merging together, you're getting these companies laying off 70 people here, 90 people here. My old company Ignition just closed down Ignition, Florida, literally Wednesday morning.
Bail out.
Well,
you jump ship at the right time.
Apparently so. No, but I mean, it just sucks for those people. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who are losing their jobs through no real fault of their own. I mean, it comes down to, and I'm not talking about Ignition here, I'm talking about companies in general, that they're making these huge investments, establishing these huge teams, and they're not really putting a bit of thought into it. I mean, we know Call of Duty is going to sell. We know Assassin's Creed, Halo, Fable, Fallout, whatever, they're all going to sell. But when you get companies like LucasArts shit-canning their entire team halfway through, or just as
releases,
Force Unleashed 2 is about to go, that's just not, that just doesn't feel right. And then we get a shit game out of it.
Well, it's like EA closing down Pandemic last year before Saboteur even shipped.
Yeah.
I think Bobby Kotick actually did a rare interview with Edge a couple months ago, and he was talking about how great Tony Hawk's Shred was going to be, and I think that team was just disassembled before the game
Speaking
even
of which,
shipped.
that's never been sent to us yet for review.
That's a good sign.
Well, it's out, and we still haven't got it, so it's a really bad sign.
Out.
So the other question then becomes, is one, how impossible is it going to be to get a job in this industry? Was it industry bloat that caused this, or is it Call of Duty taking $1 billion out of the market in a 2-month period every holiday? I mean, that's a huge chunk of the market going to one game, which I say then to the other publishers is make a better game. But, I mean, are we heading down this road where there are 3 franchises that are taking all the money out of the pot every other year, or every year in the case of Call of Duty, and it's kind of squeezing out the other guys?
I think we're moving in that direction. I think it'll be more than 3 franchises. We know. I think everything will rest on Christmas every year, where you'll get the big games coming. I think one of the other things that's good for the games industry, that you may not get a job at a big company working on a AAA box product, but if there's iPad developers springing up. A lot of games are moving to using Unity for their web-driven stuff. Mm-hmm. That is, because everybody, you're not paying for a console there. You've got your PC or you've got your Mac. I think that's where a lot of the developers are going now, to focus on these smaller games that you can bang out. They start making money right away. You don't put a huge amount of PR and marketing behind them. You don't have to go to Best Buy and Walmart for them to take their cut, and you have to sign in to be, those ads that you get in your newspapers every week, you have to buy into those.
Right.
If you're a publisher, you have to buy into those, or if you want to buy an end cap, you have to buy an end cap to make sure you get prime placing. And once retail starts to thin out and gets more pulled out of the equation, I think that's when we'll start to see more of a resurgence. But it's
you got to figure a lot of publishers right now are looking at Minecraft and they're like, oh my god. And a lot of developers are probably looking at it that way too. They're like, why am I going to sell my soul to some corporate overlord when I can just make it myself and distribute it myself and make a shit ton of money?
Well, I was actually reading an interview with the guy who did Gary's mod. And basically, he did that mod 6-7 years ago with a Half-Life 2 engine,
Mm-hmm.
and he has basically, they started charging for it about 4 years ago through Steam, and he's made over $1 million
awesome.
just off that one mod, and people are going off and doing their own stuff. Let's look at the Dota guys, League of Legends. They took that game based, off a mod. So I think that there is basically a market there. We're moving back to almost 20, 30 years ago where people were doing stuff in their garages, and now they're working remotely. I think we're moving away from big, unwieldy teams, which means hopefully we're going to get better quality, experiences. I mean, Super Meat Boy, I've been watching, you guys play that. That game looks like a shitload of fun. Was that a 50-man team?
Two guys.
Yeah.
Exactly. Joe Danger, 6 guys in Guildford in the UK.
Yep.
I mean, that's what we're moving back to, and I think that is a great starting place for people to move on. And as the pipeline increases with regards to online, you'll get more stuff coming in, bigger hard drives, and then you will start to really see games become more balanced with the amount of money they make.
And I think what we're seeing too is that graphics really aren't all that important. I mean, look at Minecraft.
Yeah, it's
no
the
one
game,
cares what that game looks like.
Or complexity too.
Right.
It's the
look at New
gameplay
Super Mario
experience.
Brothers, right?
Gameplay always trumps graphics,
Absolutely.
and it always will. It always has. And I think maybe some of these folks in the industry lost sight of that. And I think when they get, look at this new hardware, what it can do, blah blah blah. They didn't really think about, will it make the game better? Will it make it more fun to play? Will it bring new people in? And I think only Nintendo kind of looked at game development from that perspective, and look where it put them. So it's like evolve or die, I think, at this point.
We're moving to the movie model now, where you get the summer blockbusters that are the $200-300 million movies that recoup, $500, $600, $700 million, and then you get the other movies that come out through the rest of the year, the ones that get the awards, the ones that are made on a smaller budget but still pull their budget back, and then, and then some. And those are the quality titles that everybody plays. So we'll have our blockbusters in Christmas. The rest of the year, I think we'll just start to see.
And then
stuff
you
thin out.
watch them all on Netflix.
Exactly.
Or Steam, or play them all on Steam.
Hey, games on demand.
Remains of the Day on Steam.
All right, so here we go. I know we teased it at the open of the show, and the moment has finally come. We are going to talk about...
Skittles.
We are going to talk about Microsoft Kinect. No embargoes in place. No, this is just a preview version. We have the final retail version, all the final retail games. We can finally let it fly. Let's hear it, guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
The technology.
Or should it be, wow.
Okay, I feel like I have a bit amount of deja vu, like when we did this with the Move, but now I also have some more respect for the Move, I'd say, at this point. The technology works,
Does it, though?
On the menus and stuff, the real simple things.
No, the menus I have the hardest time.
Dude,
out
I
of anything.
hate-
Well, you're freakishly tall.
No.
Yeah, you're
Okay,
too.
that's true. I think I'm too tall for
I have
Kinect.
this. You're too tall for Kinect.
Yeah,
I have the
But-
same problem. I hate using my hands to navigate menus. It is so annoying.
The hub, the Kinect hub, like the most basic thing, had no problems with it. I keep calling it Just Dance. Dance Central, those menus are okay. I've had the great misfortune of playing Sonic Freeriders, which is a mess on so many levels, but even the menu system, it's like a giant rotary phone. If you kids remember those, your grandma probably has one, and it's just a complete mess. But the best part of the game is when you're in charge of an avatar. Any of the games with the avatars, and you're just doing goofy little motions, having fun. There's a lot of novelty here.
The most fun
just
I
don't know if
had
there's-
was flipping off the screen and seeing my little character give someone the bird.
But
I was
they
like,
said-
oh,
I
it'll
haven't
actually
been able to
pick
do
up
that,
my
but I
middle
haven't
finger.
either.
But it said it doesn't
worked
have
for me.
finger control.
Can I
No,
game
it
was
literally, it was in Kinect Adventures. My character was standing there. You could see it holding up its middle finger.
Can I
Yeah,
tell
'cause
you
that
guys
didn't
about
work in
this really
Joyride.
great invention that's been around for a while? It's called a mirror.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've become post minigame. Like, people talk about like post societies of things. It's at this point, I can appreciate for the 30 seconds that I'm throwing balls at the Brickles game in Kinect Adventures.
That was the funnest thing of all the games I played.
Kind of
agree.
fun, but I have no real desire to play it more than that. And on the flip side, to go back way to the Wii, I loved the Wii. I loved Wii Sports. I played the tennis game. Boxing sucked balls, but I played golf. I played tennis. I played baseball, which was, let's be honest, baseball was kind of retarded, but it was still kind of fun just seeing the bat go all over the place. These games, did you try the soccer game in Kinect Sports?
No.
The one they've been advertising on the Burger King commercials all week with some middle-aged sow waving her leg in the air.
I feel like I'm playing a flowchart.
Hey, don't knock flowcharts. XL 2010.
Oh, I just love watching the goalie just stand there and not do anything.
Here's what I like about Kinect is that I think the exercise and fitness part of it is great.
Oh, you're gonna sweat. you're gonna sweat.
I think that's where it has an advantage over the Wii. Is that I feel more motivated to play like that game that you didn't that you said you played once and you won't go back to. I disagree. Like, I think it's a ton of fun. I'm interested in getting a high score and putting it up on the leaderboard. You play one round of that, you're out of breath, there's sweat coming down, you don't realize you were working out. Being able to just work out without having to work with a board or some weird controller that sits in your pocket or some strap.
But then say I'm playing Joyride. I'm like, there's not any workout happening. I'm just having to stand up to play a racing game.
Game is the biggest piece of crap, basically, in the launch lineup. Well, I don't even know if I go that far.
I think Sonic may win.
But Ryan and I yesterday were trying to play that game, and I think one thing I've discovered with the Kinect is that there are nuances to things. So you've been playing the game for review, Joyride. Ryan and I step up and we try to play. I'm literally standing there with my hands completely still, out in front of my body, and my car is swerving left or right on the road. It won't go straight. I'm not moving my hands at all. Ryan, same problem. Can't keep the car on the road. You jump in and play. Immediately, you're power sliding around corners. Didn't recalibrate it or anything.
Right.
But you're able to play it. And you're like, well, you need to kind of like lean a little bit. And I think that's what a lot of these games are going to be like. They're going to have these little issues that after you play for a while, you kind of figure out how to get around them.
Which is funny because that's completely opposed to the audience they're trying to get. Like, just jump on in here. But like going back to the menus, like these are all trying to be controller-free games. Why can't you at least have the option to navigate menus and stuff with the controller?
I went toe-to-toe with Pactor about this on Bonus Round like a year ago. He's like, no, people are going to want to do that. I'm like, you cannot tell me that using a D-pad and a button isn't superior.
It's not even about that. It's just about options. I mean, people make the argument, you go back to Macintosh with the one-button mouse. Like, you add a second button, you're adding all this complexity. Not really, guys. You can make things varied and still offer simplicity and thoroughness.
Here's the bottom line, really, though, is that Microsoft is doing an amazing job marketing this thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, they have pulled the blinds pretty much over everybody's eyes at this point to think that this is like the next WonderKind. I can't help but think that most people are going to get this, and by the end of Christmas Day, they're going to be like, now what?
Well, we're not. To be fair, we're not the demographic for the Kinect because we're the hardcore gamers. The people who are going to get Kinect is people are going to buy it for their kids or whatever. I feel sorry for the hardcore gamers who do get Kinect for Christmas because they will lose their Xbox 360 for a period of days while Auntie Jean plays.
I want to play Fallout. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm petting Kinectables, or you spend Christmas night in the ER because Grandma threw her hip out dancing to Poker Face.
Right.
Seriously though, Kinectimals, no desire to play it. Watch Damian play a ton of it.
Did he get molested by the tiger?
No,
he says it's better than Nintendogs and iPad.
All I'm saying is if you were between the ages of like 5 and 9, amazing.
Oh, it's crack.
It is.
Especially if you live someplace where like your parents like, we're not getting a dog or we're not getting a cat.
There's none of the Nintendogs like boring chore stuff. It's all just have fun.
Interact with
you
the
talk
animal.
to the thing. Not for me, but that is
and again,
great.
we're not the demo, but this game is this Kinect is going to sell. Microsoft have been marketing the crap out of it. It's been on like Desperate Housewives, or it's been on Chuck.
Oh, it's going to sell like mad.
I mean,
Oprah.
Yeah, I mean, it's going absolutely.
But now here's the point I raised after we first got the boxes. Okay, you're gonna say it sells like mad. People want their kids to get it. Christmas morning, open it up. Oh, you have to be 3'4" to be able to play the games.
Yeah.
Which is not super tall. Or
you have to be at least 3 foot 4 inches tall.
Microsoft will already have the money in their back pockets, and they will, they'll be like, well, we say on the box. I mean, they just want to shift the units. It'll be a fad. I think,
I have no clue what children height is at any given age, to be honest.
No, me either.
I have 3, and they are not getting a Kinect for Christmas.
Yeah.
And they don't know it yet, but they also haven't asked for it.
Podcast.
They also haven't asked for
it.
And since my wife also has not inquired, I'm just leaving it at that.
But the thing is, you go back to this, so we're not a demographic, though. Like, I had no problem playing Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort with friends. Like, and same thing with Raving Rabbids. I enjoyed that. Like, I have not really had that kind of enjoyment out of these Kinect games.
Well, here's what Microsoft did that was really smart, is they have positioned Kinect to be completely different from the Wii. And I think that's where Sony maybe dropped the ball a little bit. If you look at all their TV advertisements, it looks like people are playing the Wii, and they're like, but I already have that. Even though Sony's machine is capable of doing pretty much everything Kinect is capable of doing. I think Kinect to the outside world looks like something completely different. And I think that's why you're seeing the people lining up already for Kinect, whereas there was nobody there to pick up the Move on launch day.
I mean, we've had this discussion over the years. Nintendo, the past masters of marketing. Xbox are right behind them. They always market very well. Over the last 12 to 18 months, Sony have picked up this the Kevin character, the VP thing.
They're
think it's
leaning
really
on
cool.
that guy.
But they still couldn't sell refrigerators to guys in the desert at times. I mean, they have the best console. They have, Move, which is a lot of fun. But, as I've said before, it looks like a friggin' huge dildo. It looks like a Wii on steroids. And, I'll just say I don't want to get Move, and I haven't got Move. I'm just happy to play Assassin's Creed 3 on my PS3 and I love it for what it is, a console-driven game.
And he's not here right now, but we should say Patrick has been doing Dance Central, and he fucking loves it.
Yeah. That is the one game that's probably going to be the big seller. It's the one that's probably going to move units when people go to other people's houses and play it.
That's the one I saw you doing last week, yeah?
No, that was Def Jam Rap Star.
No, I saw him dancing last week before we go.
No. Yeah, I have no rhythm. Patrick is a...
Yeah, don't say.
You may remember Push It.
I was actually looking for the power cord that somebody plugged up your ass because I thought you were having spasms.
Now, on the heels of Kinect, the other sort of big part of this is that Microsoft has released the new dashboard, the new Xbox Live in preparation for Kinect. They released it last night. We've all had a chance to kind of screw around with it. What's the big deal?
I know Justin's really annoyed by the sound effects.
It's flatter.
The interface looks like crap. I think we can all agree, compared to the old Blades that we used to have, it looks like garbage.
It's like the old interface, fuck the iPad store.
Right.
I mean, it looks like iTunes. They've gone for this iTunes, very clean, very efficient. It's lost its
very
personality.
white.
Yeah, which is I mean, it is petty to say, we're not going to say it sucks because of that, but it is something you notice at first, and after a couple weeks, you probably won't even remember what the old Blades looked like, blah, blah, blah. ESPN, a big new addition. I think what people didn't realize about the ESPN edition is if you aren't a member of Time Warner Cable, you can't really use ESPN on Xbox Live the way you're supposed to.
Unless you pay for an additional subscription. I think you can actually get an additional subscription through ESPN.com and it taps in that way.
Right, and you have to do this weird activation thing like you kind of do with Netflix where you go online and you say, hey, my machine, they give you a code, you go back, put the code in, it activates it, blah, blah, blah.
And that's what I call shenanigans on Microsoft because they've hiked the price on Xbox Live Gold.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And they have said, oh, well, you get ESPN. Well, I'm sorry, I already get ESPN through to my friggin' television anyway. Well, and Fox Soccer Channel and Fox Soccer Channel Plus. So I'm actually taken care of. I don't want to turn on my Xbox to watch TV right now.
There's really no reason for ESPN to be on Xbox Live, even with a gold subscription. Basically, all it is a collection of highlights from the day and like analysis clips. The interface is kind of cool the way they work it, in that you can just kind of scroll through these screens, and as soon as you land on a screen, it pauses for a brief second. It'll immediately start streaming the video, so to speak, and then you can pop it in full screen and pop it out. But as far as content is concerned, and content is always king, the content there is bullshit. You can go get it on ESPN.com. You can just turn off your console and watch ESPN News. It's like there's really no value in it at all.
Netflix, however, is a lot better.
A lot better.
Netflix, they've added the search option. You can search their entire downloadable database now. It seems like they've refined the netcode because on wireless, I was normally getting 3 bars out of 4. Now I'm getting 4 across the board.
I haven't actually looked at it yet. Has it just gone toe-to-toe with the new PlayStation Netflix store?
I haven't actually seen the new PlayStation Netflix store yet because I've been on my 360 all week. But
I'm with you. I get a much better signal through wireless now than I had on my Xbox 3. I'd be lucky to get 3 bars. Now it's a solid 4. I can stream HD stuff, never hitches, never buffers. It's like day and night improvement for me in the environment that I have it at my house. As far as how my wireless interacts with my 360, it's been a huge improvement.
I actually think it's kind of funny that they raised the price right after PSN Plus launched.
Yeah.
It's like, screw you guys. We're
But
going
they do have a
raise
family
our
pack
price.
now. They have a family pack for $99.99, which gives you 4 gold memberships for the price of 2, apparently.
Right.
They announced this last
And
night.
they also had the offer where you could resubscribe for like half the price of Xbox Live for a couple months. I mean, they did try to soften the blow a little bit. That doesn't bother me as much as like features like ESPN being basically useless to gold subscribers unless you're a Time Warner customer.
Time Warner has a bad reputation in my area. That's why most everybody in my neighborhood has either Dish or DirecTV.
Well, I have DirecTV, but I use Time Warner for internet. That doesn't do me any good with Xbox Live. I have to use Time Warner for my cable bill, which to me is complete crap. All right, so that's going to do it for this week's Invisible Walls. I think some pretty interesting discussions that kind of ran the gamut. We also forgot to go around the horn and ask everyone if they're buying one. Rich, you kind of already said your kids don't want one, you're not.
No, actually, I don't know if they want one. They haven't asked, but no, they're not getting one. At least not yet.
What if they tell you they want it? Are you going to deprive them of it? You can't do that. I can see the look on your face, Rich.
I don't want to deprive them, but I just, at this point in time, after the experiences that I've had with it, no.
Marcus.
Until they bring out some really phenomenal games that justify me getting off my lardy ass, no.
Ryan.
No.
Blood.
Not unless they give me a bigger room.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing we didn't mention. You need a lot of space to use Kinect. A lot.
Especially if you're tall.
And I am not buying it. I went and got Move. I'm usually the idiot that buys everything. I'm not buying Kinect yet.
Here.
This is what you're asking your wife to buy you for Christmas now?
Yeah, that way I don't feel like I bought it, right? Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Lots of big reviews coming down the pipe. We're going to have a review for Call of Duty Black Ops up midnight the night of November 8th, the day before it comes out. So make sure you check that out. Lots of big stuff rolling through the site. We'll see you soon.